Did you know that a $60 chain kit can prevent a $2,000 transmission rebuild nearly 90% of the time? But most riders never check it until it's too late. What is a motorcycle chain and sprocket? In this video, we're talking about 9 signs your chain and sprockets are shot and how to spot them before they leave you stranded. So what's a chain and sprocket set? It's your bike's final drive, the metal link between your engine and your rear wheel that transfers every ounce of power to the road. Whether you ride a sport bike, cruiser, or adventure bike, it's the same story. The chain and sprocket wear together. Neglect one and you destroy both. You'll find them exposed along the swing arm, wrapped around the countershaft and rear hub. Let's break down the 9 clear warning signs your chain and sprockets are worn out before that neglected noise becomes your most expensive mistake. Symptom 9. Dry chain, noise, and light whine. The earliest sign is sound. At steady speed, you hear a faint hiss, a dry whisper, maybe a soft squeak at walking pace. It is not the usual hum of a healthy drive. It is metal surfaces moving with too little oil film. The sealing rings around the pins start to dry, friction climbs, and temperature creeps up. Left alone, that quiet change becomes the first step in a long chain of wear. One time at a stoplight, a rider next to me had this faint metallic hiss every time he eased off the clutch. I leaned over and said, "That's not your clutch. That's your chain begging for lube." He laughed, but I could see the side plates were bone white. I told him to grab a can of chain spray at the next gas stop. If he did that, I bet that noise was gone by the next morning. See, the fix is simple. Clean with a chain safe cleaner, wipe, and lay down a fresh coat of quality lube. Wipe the excess so grit will not stick. 10 minutes of care and a few dollars in cleaner and lube is far cheaper than a new kit. Ignore it and that quiet hiss becomes something you'll feel, a pulsing beat through your pegs that tells you the damage is spreading fast. Symptom 8. Tight spots. Now the chain does not move evenly. As the wheel turns, slack goes tight, then loose, then tight again. At low speed, you feel a beat through the pegs, and sometimes a buzz in the seat. This rhythm comes from sections of links that no longer flex freely. The sealing rings have dried or failed, the factory grease has thinned, and the joint has begun to run metal on metal. Each revolution adds a little shock to the drive. First thing, check chain slack at several points around the wheel. If the difference between your loosest and tightest readings is more than about a finger width, you have a tight spot. Watch the lower run while the wheel spins. If the chain rises and drops in a steady pattern, the evidence is in front of you. A deep clean and careful lubricant can help mild stiffness, but once a joint is truly dry inside, the kink returns. Why it matters is simple. Tight spots hammer the sprocket teeth where the chain binds, then jerk free. The uneven load chews both chain and teeth, and the problem starts to make noise. Keep riding like this, and you move from a dry whisper into a thump you'll feel through your entire bike. But the next symptom will have your chain literally whipping against metal at highway speed. Symptom 7. Chain slap on the swing arm. You're cruising steady at highway pace when a subtle pulse creeps through the pegs. It feels like the road got rough, but it isn't the pavement. That pulsing is chain whip. When slack and tension alternate around the sprockets, the chain starts oscillating like a skipping rope at speed. Every swing sends a shock back through the drivetrain. Chain whip shows up once the links are unevenly worn or stretched past balance. The tight sections pull, the loose ones lag, and the momentum difference makes the chain lift and snap against the sprocket faces. You'll hear it as a low drumming or buzzing that fades when you pull the clutch and coast quiet. That silence is the giveaway. The vibration lives in the chain, not the wheel. Left unchecked, whip chews sprocket teeth and wears bearings from repeated impact. The drive starts to feel coarse, the throttle less direct. Smooth attention and correct alignment cure it instantly. A simple adjustment and lube cost a few minutes. Ignoring it sends you straight to the next symptom, where that vibration becomes visible damage. The next stage isn't cosmetic, it's mechanical. Symptom 6. Hooked or shark fin. Sprocket teeth. You twist the throttle and feel the power surge. Hesitate, then surge again. It's not the clutch, it's the sprockets. When the teeth wear forward into tiny hooks, each link grabs and releases unevenly. The drive feels elastic, like someone's tugging the chain with every pulse. Hooked teeth change the pitch engagement between the chain and sprockets. Instead of rolling smoothly, the rollers climb the face, catch, then snap off the hook hook under load. You'll feel it worst in mid-gears under steady acceleration. A quick throttle blip will exaggerate it. There's a half-beat delay before the rear wheel reacts. Inspect both sprockets under good light. Healthy teeth are straight and symmetrical. Worn ones lean forward like waves caught in motion. If one tooth is bad, the rest aren't far behind. Replace the full set, chain and both sprockets together, or the new parts will wear unevenly from the start. The difference is immediate once fixed. Throttle becomes smooth, drive feels tight, and engine response returns. Ignore it and the next problem arrives. The chain skips teeth altogether. That's when the cost climbs from maintenance to repair. The next symptom shows how. Before we hit the next 3 symptoms, and trust me, they get worse, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a fix that could save you from a 4-figure repair bill. The next symptom? Your chain is about to start jumping off teeth. Symptom 5, skip under acceleration. Skip feels like a sharp jab followed by a metallic snap. You open the throttle in second or third, and for a split second, the drive lets go. It can feel like a very brief clutch slip, but with a bang rather than a smooth flare. The cause is simple and serious. A stretched chain riding on hook teeth climbs the face under load, then drops off the back. Misalignment and excessive slack make the moment easier to trigger. Set your baseline before you test. Adjust chain slack to the correct value. Align the rear wheel carefully. Do not rely only on swing arm marks if you can avoid it. Use a straight edge against the rear sprocket aimed at the front, a laser tool, or measure the axle block positions with a ruler or calipers. Then make a safe roll-on test. If the drive still skips, stop riding and plan the fix. Every skip hammers teeth and side plates. The worst outcome is a chain that derails and whips forward, breaking the engine case or locking the rear wheel. Replacing a matched chain and both sprockets is a modest bill. Repairing a cracked case or crash damage is not. Even if you never feel a full jump, a drive that wants to skip will chew parts as if it did. See, the next symptom will turn your chain into a wrecking ball, because misalignment often sits behind the chewing, waiting to be found. Symptom 4, axle misalignment and a crooked wheel. You're cruising along a straight stretch and suddenly feel a harsh thump-thump against the swing arm. It's quick, rhythmic, and grows louder on deceleration. That's chain slap, the sound of slack turning violent. Chains stretch over time, and when tension isn't adjusted evenly, it forms a wave of motion every time you roll on and off throttle. The swing arm and guard take the beating. Some riders mistake it for suspension noise until they see the scuff marks on the guard. Here's a quick test. On the side stand, spin the wheel and watch the chain's top run. If it bows up and down like a skipping rope, it's too loose. Adjust tension so it moves only about an inch at the midpoint when cold, and check alignment marks on both sides. A chain too tight isn't better. It loads the countershaft bearing and can snap under torque. The goal is smooth tension, not rigid. If you miss this, links begin to bind and rust, which is the next clear sign. Symptom 3, stiff, rusted, or kinked links. You don't need to ride to spot this one. Just look at the chain in sunlight. If half the links are frozen at odd angles, it's already in trouble. Rust creeps in fast, especially if the bike sleeps outside. Moisture wicks past the O-rings, seizing the pins and locking movement. A good chain should drape smoothly and flex at every link. Stiff sections mean metal-to-metal friction with no lube cushion. Spin the wheel slowly. If the chain rises and falls like it's full of lumps, that's corrosion binding the joints. Once that happens, you can't save it with just lube. The internal rollers are already pitted. I told a commuter once to skip one morning ride and spend 10 minutes cleaning that orange-brown chain before it turned into a metal file. The cost of a new chain, around $100 to $180. The cost of waiting until it snaps, a new engine case. Don't brush off a little rust, because the next symptom shows you exactly how close you are to a catastrophic snap. Symptom 2, chain stretch, past service limit. A worn chain doesn't stretch like rubber. It grows from the inside out. Each pin and bushing wears a fraction, and over hundreds of links, those fractions add up. The result is pitch mismatch. The distance between links no longer matches the sprocket teeth. You feel it first as a gentle pulsing at steady speed. Surge, relax, surge again. Tighten it and it feels better for a week, but then slack returns. That's not adjustment error, it's internal wear. Once the metal clearances open up, tensioning can't undo it. To test test, mark 20 consecutive pins and measure from the 1st to the 20th. Compare it to your manual's spec. If it's more than a couple % longer, the chain has reached its service limit. No cleaner or lube can shrink worn metal back into place. Riding past that point accelerates sprocket wear dramatically. Each roller slams into the next tooth slightly late, rounding edges and beating the hub. Eventually, the chain begins to climb teeth under load, and when it slips, it can lock the wheel. A new chain is cheap compared to the repair bill that follows a snapped one. Stretch is not a suggestion, it's a countdown, and once it hits 0, the result isn't gradual, it's catastrophic. Symptom 1, chain derail or snap. When a chain fails, it's not quiet. It starts with a bang you'll feel through your boots, a heavy metallic crack followed by sudden silence. The wheel locks for a moment, then the engine revs to the moon. That's the moment every rider dreads. Chains rarely just break. They warn you through noise, slap, and rust first. By the time it goes, the pins are worn thin and the rollers have eaten halfway through. All it takes is one hard shift or bump in the throttle to finish the job. A friend once told me about a time when he heard that sound behind him on a group ride, a sharp snap, then a bike coasting to the shoulder. The chain had whipped off and cracked the engine case clean open. The tow truck was $120. The repair quote was 4 figures. Replace it before it reaches that point. A fresh chain and sprocket kit costs less than a weekend's gas money. Check slack every 500 miles, lube it every few rides, and it'll never surprise you like that. When it finally fails, it's not a repair, it's a rebuild. That's the difference between attention and neglect. We've covered all 9 warning signs, from a faint hiss to a full chain snap, and how to fix each before it destroys your drivetrain. Keep your chain clean, aligned, and lubed, and your bike will feel smoother than ever. If braking feels weak or spongy, that's your next warning sign. We will make a video on that next, so subscribe and you won't miss it.